and welcome. This is Moving Forward Podcast episode 6. We're moving forward. We're getting this done. I'm very excited about the feedback we had on the last episode. Thank you, everyone that have been watching and providing feedback. Today, I got a great subject to talk about. This is something that I'm sure a lot of you are hearing a lot of news about, and it's about virtual reality. This week, I'm speaking again with Andy Lamrock is on the line with me. Andy, how have you been today?
Yeah, great, Robbie. How are you? I'm super excited about this one. You didn't surprise me this week, so that was good. But I think this whole topic of is just exploding at the moment. So let's get into it.
Yeah, I did send you a message telling you we're going to talk about virtual reality, and I noticed the excitement. It was just shared on both sides. So something really grabbed my attention this for the past few weeks, and that's especially footage that came out of Facebook's head of AR and VR, Andrew Bosworth. I hope I didn't butcher his name, showing real footage of a test using prototype Facebook hardware and software. What we can see is mixed virtual reality with floating displays which are rearranged and resized by the user while typing on a physical keyboard. So the displays are virtual, but the world around the user is real, which is what they call pass-through. This uses the cameras on the outside of an, say, Oculus Rift or the Oculus Quest. So Andy, you've seen the footage that I sent to you. What were your first thoughts, like looking at how this could improve your life and your work environment?
I was like, wow, this is what we've been looking for. And I've already, harked back on some of our podcasts before this. We've talked about, working in isolation and that feeling of being lonely, but not actually socially lonely. Okay, lonely in that sense, or isolated, if it was a better word.
Hmm.
Isolated in the sense that you don't have that tactile feedback. It's very linear or flat surface. When I saw this, I went, "This is real." We're talking about a full immersive experience, live studios,
Hmm.
everything happening on a browser. It's all in 3D in your hand. That was super super cool, right? And I think this whole space of augmented reality, mixed reality, and virtual reality is just accelerating so quickly. And yeah, I have to say I was pretty excited. I can certainly see the future in this.
Yeah, and we've also seen other companies that are trying to improve on this, trying to provide us with virtual environments where we can have a little bit of our social life back. Just yesterday, I believe I posted something on LinkedIn about XR Space with their new MOVA VR headset. And with that, they created a new virtual environment where you can just jump in and there's different spaces you can go in. You can watch stuff together. We can socialize. We can go to the pub in the virtual environment that they call Manova. Work together. So a lot of companies are definitely jumping on this. The way I see this affecting my personal life is that I'm going to save a lot of money on monitors. I'm the kind of person that likes to have heaps of stuff in front of them. I really enjoy as much screen real estate as possible. And with this, I can do it for free, and it's limitless. Also, I can have shortcut keys, similar to what you and I saw in the video around my keyboard without buying the physical boards that people buy. And we see this a lot more around streamers and video producers. This is, a great breakthrough, if I may call it, for people that enjoy multitasking and minimalism. No screens, no cables, maybe no mouse, just a VR headset. It's very exciting stuff, but I'd really like to know what other innovations you wish to see in this field, in order for it to be something that you would adopt.
Yeah, well, I think you're pointing out the trends, okay, and it's guiding us to where we might be going. Obviously with the ability to put on a virtual reality headset like Oculus and bring up a platform from which you can code. So you're actually coding in the actual virtual reality environment.
Hmm.
So you're actually inside there doing that, right? Which is, I think, what you're leading to. You're not doing it on a screen, on a computer screen or anything, right? So you're now using, all your physical movement or motion to interact and create these great solutions. If you look at the headsets, you're talking about them being wireless, right? So as soon as they become wireless and they inbuild all the surround cameras, well, then all of a sudden we're not bound by a physical location where we have to do this. We're
Mm,
stepping out now into other environments. We're recognizing other physical spaces for us to jump into a virtual reality experience.
mhm.
So I think what that leads to, I mean, you know, I don't know if you watch esports, but
Oh yeah.
I'm a mad fan of motorsport and the
Mhm.
whole iRacing series that Supercars is doing here in Australia. Um, half the drivers are on VR, and half of them are still on the big screen, right? So
Mhm.
that's where it's going. It's not just about gaming, but it's that immersive situation. So being able to move into different physical worlds is, I think that's where it's going. What that might mean for business or for pleasure, entertainment, etc. I think there's opportunities across all of them. So
Yeah,
when you can code in that environment, we're pretty close.
and you did make you and I mentioned the Oculus. I think it's also good to note that you have similar products such as the HTC Vive Cosmos. Just trying to clarify, we're not sponsored by Oculus or HTC Vive. Although I wish, if anyone's listening from these companies, hit me up. I'm more than happy to take your money. But so it's
Hey, but though, Rabi, you like seriously, you can just do this with a piece of Google Cardboard,
yeah,
right?
that's true.
So it's not like you've got to spend big money. And I think you're alluding to savings in tech and all that sort of stuff.
Hmm.
Get a piece of Google Cardboard and jump on. You can use it. I mean, my daughter uses it.
Hmm.
She has a virtual reality game on on her mobile device.
Hmm.
She uses Google Cardboard to go and explore space and the International Space Station.
Yeah,
Um, so
absolutely, and it's
education. We hadn't said anything about education. There's another space.
absolutely, yeah, and it this is just limitless with regards to the fields that it can go into, and it seems like the pandemic is definitely accelerating the work on technologies that could be leveraging to improve remote work, learning as you mentioned as well, making it easier for people to connect and work remotely and virtually by giving them a sense of presence with these devices. Um, uh, you know, I'd really like to understand from you. How what kind of sense of presence are you looking for when you're using this kind of devices? You're definitely looking for some haptic feedback when you're touching things. You're trying to understand where people are in the virtual environment you're being in. But what are you really expecting from this kind of technology in order for it to be something that you can use for work and actually serious business?
Yeah, it's lighting up the senses to be quite frank about it. Being able to stand there and eyeball somebody and collaborate on a whiteboard,
Mm,
albeit in virtual, but that tactile experience of what it's like writing on the whiteboard, being able to quickly circle someone's note that they've made and be able to have spontaneous dialogue based on that. When we do it in the non-virtual world or through video conferencing and those sorts of calls, we kind of wait for someone to finish, then we respond, etc. It's not collaborative, it's not spontaneous, and so that spontaneity comes from the sense of the feeling of physically being there,
mm,
the tactile experience that you get, and things like that. Who knows where it will go, but maybe they can bring smell into this as well.
mhm.
But that would be really really cool, right? So I guess the lighting of the senses, being able to not just be tuning in primarily through audio, but really excited by visual and touch. I think that's where the real opportunity is.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I just see this the more they add, the more features they add to this, the more it is something that we can use. And the more it's going to promote remote work. I think now with the pandemic, a lot of us have been forced into remote work and we now understand more the pros and cons of it. But I see a lot of companies also understand the value of it. I mean, in an interview with The Verge, Mark Zuckerberg said, I and this and I quote, I think that it's possible that over the next 5 to 10 years, maybe closer to 10 than 5, but somewhere in that range, I think we could get to about half of the company working remotely permanently. So a lot of companies are seeing the value in this. My question to you is really, other than VR and mixed virtual reality, what other technologies did you nodes that are being pushed to rapid deployment that could affect remote work. I would mention 5G, but I'm sure you know more about that than I do.
Yeah, there's a concept called swarm, where you actually bring together people and a whole heap of content that those people generate, and
Mm,
then you apply artificial intelligence over there. So it's almost like human insights plus artificial intelligence creates this hybrid thinking model.
hmm
Um, so there's lots of swarm type applications out there, but essentially, you have a project or a challenge or an idea or a concept, or whatever it might be, and you have a whole heap of contributors to that. And those contributors then bring, white papers, information that they find, and you build a content library, and then you rate that content, and you chat about it, etc.
mm,
And so there's really those three streams. Okay, so there's the what you're doing, the information that supports it, and then there's this sort of chat and rating function. And what the AI engine does is it sits across all of that, and it actually starts to model out best
hmm
practice, ways to solve this problem, ideas and concepts that lead to a better path. And so, when you start to mix that human insight with artificial intelligence and create that hybrid thinking model, just think how fast we're going to accelerate problem solving. Because at the end of the day, you only solve a problem that has never been solved before by asking a question that hasn't been asked before. So, questions are the way that you unlock the riddles of the future.
mm,
Okay,
mm.
and so having that, team support, multiple minds, great people bringing information together, layered with artificial intelligence, I think it's great. If you can do that in a virtual reality environment, it's just going to accelerate it. It's going to make it fun. It's going to make it far more deeper
mm.
and far more powerful. And that's where I see it going.
Yeah, yeah, and it's great to see these large companies going into the VR space. It's just really going to accelerate where we're going. Especially, we've heard news of Facebook acquiring a VR company. And I'm just excited about where this is going, and can't wait to see what they will come up with. With that, we come to the end of episode 6 of the Moving Forward podcast. You have been served with your daily dose of smiles. Thank you very much. Thank you, Andy, for being here.
Thanks, Rabi, and thanks everyone for listening. That was quick, fun, and have a good day.
Bye, everyone.